What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 6 lies America told me about Europe. So, being born and raised in the United States, you're not told too much about Europe. You have to really go out on your own and find that information and learn about Europe and educate yourself if you want to know anything more than basic stuff that oftentimes isn't even true, hence the lies. So a lot of people in the United States, they don't really know what's going on in Europe. They don't even really know what Europe is, or like what the EU is, what countries are there. Like, I'm not saying everyone, but there are a good amount of people who just have absolutely no idea that what is across the Atlantic. And the interesting part about this is it's not quite the case the other way around. And I feel like a lot of Europeans that I've talked to are significantly more tapped in with news, culture, entertainment, everything in the United States. And that's just a really interesting dynamic. And again, this is the foundation for my channel and all of this, is because before I started this, I knew absolutely nothing about Europe. And it was kind of like a thought in the back of my head to, like, go to Europe, or, even like moving to Europe, like that wasn't even an idea in my head. Like, it wasn't even a thought. So the fact that all that has changed already just shows how little I knew about Europe, and how what I did know, half the time it wasn't even true. So I'm very, very excited to get into this video. I'm curious to see what this guy has to say, and let's get right into this, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome back. International Carl doing another video for you. If this is your first time to my channel, please right now stop and hit the like button, consider subscribing, and as always, hit me in the comment section, because those that have subscribed to my channel know that I'm always active in the comment section. Now, this video, we're going to talk about a couple lies that the United States pushes into us as Americans growing up. And let's talk about it right now. Let's get to it right now. Lie number 1. This one is a funny one to me, because in the United States, it's always, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care if you're independent, I don't care where you're at on the political spectrum. You're always going to have a politician telling you that
they hate our freedoms, our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom to vote and assemble and disagree with each other.
That's right. They hate us for our freedoms. Can you believe that? As if nowhere else in the world has any freedoms. Like Europe. In Europe, they act like if you come to Europe, there's just no freedoms. What freedoms do I not have here in Europe? As these are Western democracies with Western values and culture that has been exported to the United States. And it's become its own thing. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but freedoms exist here. I'm still scratching my head. What freedom do you have in America that I don't have here? Let's
The worst freedom.
talk about freedom of speech, for example. In America, you have freedom of speech. In the UK, for example, you don't have freedom of speech. What you do have is freedom of expression. Slight different tweak, but let's give you an example. In America, you can be as racist as you want to somebody. You can walk up to me, walk up to any black person and say the N-word all day long if you want. Where in the UK, you really couldn't do that, because at some point you will cross a fine line of inciting racial hatred. So if you define your freedoms based on your ability to call somebody an N-word, or call some Asian American some type of offensive word,
Or spout extremist religious propaganda on the corner of a very public area,
by all means, you can have that freedom. I don't need that freedom. But other people in America talk about it like freedom for guns. Ooh, guns, guns, guns. They want to take your guns. Well, let's see. Here in the UK, can you have guns? Yes. Can you have a rifle? Yes. Can you have a handgun? Yes. What does the Second Amendment say in the United States? It's highly regulated. So what is it here in the UK? Guess what? It's highly regulated. There's lots of regulations around what type of gun, where you have to store that gun, where you have to keep the ammunition, what do you have to do for the maintenance of that gun. Highly regulated. So you still have the freedom to have a gun. So if you define your freedoms as being able to have as many guns as you want in America, okay, fine, no argument. But I think that's a lie that they sell, that nobody here has any guns. Not true. Number 2.
Bro, I love this guy already. Oh my God.
Social housing is a bad thing. It's something that you're supposed to segregate from the rest of the population. So, for example, in America, especially in LA where I'm from, or Southern California where I'm from, social housing, Section 8. Well, that's usually in a separate side of the city, not being seen. I don't even know where it's at, because where I grew up was nothing but beautiful homes, single family homes, no social housing. Where here in the UK, just in Europe in general, it's all sprinkled around you. For example, here in the UK, I live in a beautiful big house, beautiful executive style estate. I have a nice car, but guess what? On this estate and on several new estates, they all have social housing, and they do things that are different in the United States, or that they do here in the UK, that they wouldn't do or they don't do in the United States. You can be on social housing, but guess what? You can partially own that house. So that way you can be on the track. So you can buy 10% of the home, 20% of the home, 50% of the home, and try to get all the way up to 100% of the home like me or you do. So that's a different strategy that they do, so that social housing is good for everybody, because that way the kids get to interact with all people from all social and religious economic backgrounds. And you as an adult get to work and meet and mingle with people.
And the education as well. They're getting in the same schools.
From all different backgrounds. I think the neighborhoods are better for it. They're safer for it. Less crime, because guess what? If you're in an executive style estate, well, guess what? You want to keep your home value high. You want to keep it nice and looking new. And that's going to put pressure on the social housing to also keep their house nice, keep the estate looking nice and new and fresh. So I think that's a myth, and I think that's something that should be revisited in the United States. Number 3.
I'd completely agree, but like things in the United States are so segregated, not just from a social housing perspective. Like the whole entire country, we still are segregated. Like it shows itself in different ways. Maybe it's not law anymore. It is, it still is in certain ways. They're just not as obvious with it, but it's very true. In the United States, like I think about back in not very long ago, where they were trying to segregate and keep black people out of white schools because the parents wanted their kids to just live with other white kids in the schools, and also with people with money, like they don't want their kids to be around kids who don't have money. That's just a fact in the United States. So you'll see neighborhoods and schools that are filled up with kids from these very rich and expensive neighborhoods, and it's really just them in there. Like they'll have some other people thrown in like that, but it's not natural at all. It's not like this system that he's describing where they're all part of one estate, all part of one neighborhood, living cohesively. This is like an abrupt change. Like these are changes we've been making recently to try and get things to an ideal level of diversity and inclusivity, but still we fall short, unfortunately.
In America, they teach you this, that somehow being a hard worker means coming in early, staying late, never taking a vacation, and definitely don't call in sick. That is like the biggest mistake you could ever make, faux pas you can make. I'll give you an example. When I was working for a large airframe manufacturer in the United States, I remember a friend of mine, we wanted to take 2 weeks off and go do something. Our managers looked at us like we were crazy because we wanted to have the audacity to take 2 weeks off. And mind you, we didn't take any days off prior to that. We just wanted to take 2 weeks off in a year so we could go do something. They were like, no, reject it, slim that down to a week. And I'm thinking, isn't that my time off to relax, to recharge my battery so I can come back to work? No. Now, I think minds and hearts have changed a little bit in the United States back from when I started working, back in the early 2000s, or mid-2000s, I should say. But that was a faux pas. Well, here in the United Kingdom and here in Europe, for example, it's encouraged to take time off. You get 20, 25 plus days off in mostly all European countries. I think by law in the European Union, you have to have 20 days off. So it's encouraged to take time off because either you use it or you lose it. And for example, I think Sweden, if I can find the article, it's on the screen now. But if not, Sweden is actually doing a trial where they're reducing the work hours to 6 hours to see if it increases productivity. Because employers are seeing that the employees are more rested and more focused when they come back to work. Number 4, America sells you
It will be interesting to see the shift to like the 4-day work week, because I've been hearing a lot about that. Even in the United States, again, our philosophy around work it's definitely changing, especially my generation, but it'll be interesting to see how these new ideas are implemented, especially in a system that has been so work-centric for such a long time. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things, bro. So hard to get time off here. It's because of like the philosophy and the system that just continues to be there. Like, these employers don't have to do that, but it's just how it is.
That capitalism and consumerism go hand in glove. It's like this cycle. You have to work to buy, to work again to pay for what you buy, to buy some more stuff, to then work again and go down this continuous loop of working to live. And in Europe, one of the things that I find I think is a beauty and a benefit of working and living in Europe is that there's more of a work-life balance. As I just talked about in point number 3, is that you have time off to actually do stuff. And you don't just have this endless working to consume. Don't get me wrong. We go on vacation, so we're consuming what I would call, we are consuming experiences, but we don't live to work, we work to live. And that is a benefit of living in Europe, and I think that is great. And I think the US sells a lie to its people by telling them that you have to work hard to then buy stuff and never do anything. Number 5, which kind of ties into the first one I said, but it really is on the Republican right side in America. They always preach, especially during the Obamacare era, 2012, was all about these death panels. They literally produced a video where they were throwing grandma off a cliff because of social medicine.
Make no mistake about it, President Obama and the Democrats who supported Obamacare began throwing seniors off the cliff back.
The evils of social medicine, that you were going to have death panels if you got sick. I mean, how ridiculous of a lie that is. I mean, it's a bold-faced lie. I've lived here 11, 12 years. I have yet to ever see a death panel. I have known some older people. I know some younger people. I know myself. You can walk into any hospital in any country in Europe and there's not a single death penalty. What do you expect them to say? Oh, sorry, you had a heart attack last year, Mr. Carl, but since you had one last year, we're not going to treat you for this heart attack.
You know what the most ironic part about this entire thing is? The money is is the thing that's stopping. Like, oh, sorry, you had a heart attack, but you can't pay this bill back. So next time you have it, you're probably not even going to go into the ambulance, not even going to go to the hospital because it's so goddamn expensive. So by not socializing healthcare and keeping it privatized, not only is it ridiculously overpriced, but way too many people have no access to, forget quality. We'll just say healthcare. Like just regular healthcare, reasonable healthcare. It really is mind-boggling. Bro. And the more I learn, obviously no place has a perfect healthcare system. That's impossible. Healthcare it's very that's why it's such a controversial topic, I guess, because it's very difficult, but we can do so much better. And it's so depressing to hear about some of these systems that these European countries have and come back home, and I feel like we just continue to let our people down. So it's very unfortunate.
Because the panel has refused your care. On a side note, you kind of already have that in America. You just have it through the insurance companies because guess what they do? decide not to cover you. They say, it's a pre-existing condition. I don't think you can do that anymore, but they'll say that, or they'll find a way to deny coverage. They'll make it so high to cost to do it that you have to do it out of pocket. And guess what? Now you're bankrupt. So that loops right back to number one. How are you free if you have to live with the pressure of going bankrupt and not being able to pay your bills? Because guess what? You have the audacity to break your hip, get sick. I don't know. You pick it. So those are the 5 things that I think that the United States lies or misleads its people on purpose to further whatever big business or whatever political agenda that they have to the people. I'm going to leave you with a bonus one, which is kind of strange if you look at it. Because number 6 is this. In America, every day, all students around the nation get up every morning and say the Pledge of Allegiance. You pledge yourself and align yourself to the United States flag and to the republic for which it stands. Now, that's not something that's common in Europe. In many Western countries, I don't know of any other Western country that makes its kids get up every morning. I do know of one back in 1938, 1942-ish time. Those kids used to get up and actually pledge allegiance to their flag and to their Führer. But I don't know if that's something we should necessarily be doing. Don't get me wrong, I love my country. I'm very patriotic about it. I love the 4th of July for all its. My country is never perfect, but I think it can get better. But that's mine. Hit me in the comments.
I'm very against the Pledge of Allegiance. I always have felt weird standing. Even when I was a little kid, I felt weird. It's like, what are we doing? Oh my God, bro. This video pissed me off. I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's just very frustrating to think about some of these things. So yeah, 6 lies. I think the most important part of this video is 6 lies, okay? Like, the American people as a whole, we're just people. You're come out the womb, nothing's wrong with that. It's just like our government, our politicians, and the government and our politicians are run by money, are run by these businesses, and these businesses just continue to use that as leverage to control everyone and make them fight against each other and believe this, that, and the third. When these people don't even know what they're supporting, they don't even know what they're standing for. Like, they literally don't. Yet they still put their heart and soul and everything into it because of how these things are portrayed in the media. And it's just, it's like, come on, guys. We're actually bots. Like, the United States, especially politics, it's literally like, I feel like some of these people are robots. Like, why are you supporting this politician? And I'm not saying this specifically as if there's one, like, no, every single politician in the United States is garbage. Every single politician, period, is garbage. But I feel like in the United States, we have a really big problem with politics because they're leveraged to get people mad at each other. And that just keeps everyone quiet. It just keeps everyone dumb. And we're just constantly fighting with each other. How are we supposed to rise together, united as a nation, and tackle a lot of these problems that can be solved? Anything can be solved, bro. Anyways, hopefully with time, I think we are, starting to wake up a bit. There's definitely a group in this country that I think my generation is definitely starting to see a lot of these things, and changes will be made accordingly. So watch out, USA, because I'm tired of just watching these videos and being like, okay, hopefully things change, or I don't even know if this is possible. No. We can't have that mindset forever. You got to take some action. So we're going to change America, guys. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought about this. What are some lies Europe tells you? What are some lies Germany tells you? What are some lies Netherlands tells you? Do they tell you any lies? I hope that they better tell you some lies, because if they don't, then you're lying. Anyways, Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.